historical inaccuracies should just be accepted. Hey, Mother? Can I please talk to you for a minute? Sure. Well, I'm sure I once told you that I wasn't interested in guys. Yep, you and Magenta both when the topic of princes comes up. Well, Magenta's different. She doesn't need marriage in her future. She's independent. The thing is, I've never told anyone this, but I'm coming out. Really? I hope you don't think of me any differently. No, it's brilliant. It's who you are. I, too, have always thought of myself as having an interest in both guys and others. Really? That makes me feel a lot better. I'm glad you found your preference in life. The 14th of May, 1080. The day of the dance. A ballroom lit once again by candles and costumes. What more could the perfect party ask for? Local friends and royal idols alike all gathered under one roof, the stars dancing through the skylight, making the event glow with serenity. Though the night was timid as a hummingbird, the hours leaped by with a caracol's speed. The high heels tapped upon the polished floor with every breath and every step of each dancer. A light chatter and a praise with every glass brought the secular music to life. Crimson sat against the faraway corner, a summer night's breeze from the open window blocking the smell of grapes and perfume. She looked around for any signs of familiarity. Only the taste of bitter isolation remained. In her desolation of watching the other couples while she remained alone, she suddenly felt a small tap upon her left shoulder. She turned. There he stood, so familiar yet so different from the last interaction. "Leo?" she asked. He nodded and smiled. "You know me?" he chimed. He only looked about a decade older since she'd first met him. He was no longer a small child, but not quite an adult yet. "Your friend Lola would talk about you all the time," she smirked. She does?" Leo blushed. "Do you know where she is?" "No, I was actually gonna ask you if you knew where Centurion or anyone was. I can't find anyone I know anywhere. I just got here. I saw my uncle go off to dance with Fleur, but I lost them soon enough." With that, the music came to an end and the next ensemble was soon to play. "Glad that's over. I hate that music. My uncle loves it," Leo laughed. With that, a new piece began to play. "That's more like it," Crimson smiled. Leo too smiled back and paused as if he had something to ask. Crimson turned to him. "You never did get that dance, did you?" "What do you mean?" "At our last ball when you asked me to dance, but I surely declined. Would you like to take that dance now?" She held out her hand toward him. "I thought you didn't dance." "I may have two left feet, but dancing is something I can adjust to." "Shouldn't you be dancing with Centurion?" "Shouldn't you be dancing with him, since you like him so much?" "I'd rather dance with Fleur, but since she's occupied, I'd be thrilled to take a dance with you." With that, he took her hand and danced with more passion than he ever had before. Back up front, Lola, Naya and Magenta sat near the drinks table. Boredom struck with every turn of each dancer as they sat aimlessly at the side. As soon as the music came to an end, each dancer stopped to catch a breath. "Guys, do you maybe want to dance together?" Magenta finally asked. "Actually, Magenta, I'm a little tired. I might just stay here," Lola stated. Naya nodded. Magenta sighed and sat back down. Just then, Leo entered the scene. "Leo!" Lola and Naya rose in excitement. "Lola, Naya, Magenta, it's lovely to have finally found you," Leo exclaimed. "Wanna dance?" Naya asked. "Leo, in your letter you promised you'd dance with me," Lola argued. Guys," Magenta began. "Of course, I'll have this next dance with Lola, then I promise I'll dance with you, Naya." With that, Leo left with Lola, Naya following behind. "A little tired," Magenta frowned. Amongst the dancers in the center of the room, another song began to play. Crimson looked around for Centurion, but couldn't seem to find him in the sea of dancers. She looked for Aaron too, but found no success. All she found was Fleur, but she seemed to be entranced in the eyes of a blonde-bereted man with a moustache. She didn't want to interfere with their dance. She looked a little further for a blue-caped king with cerulean hair, but no king seemed to be there. With every corner, no luck. She vaguely glanced over the crowd from the top for any signs of familiarity, until she distinctively saw thick ginger hair, burning like hellish lava. She'd recognise that hairstyle anywhere with a thick pink gown serving it. Seren. At first she brushed it off, but she looked a little closer to see the fire's water. Beside the glowing lady, cool blue hair began to unveil. That shade of blue she'd know anywhere beside that deep blue cape. Centurion. Crimson watched as he willingly danced with Seren, focused by her brown eyes and captivating smile. Why oh why would he be dancing with her arch nemesis? Why would he be dancing in the first place? He never danced with her. He knew Seren was her enemy, and although Centurion had no problem with her, he still would never willingly interact with Seren. Crimson thought back to prior the ball. He hadn't said a word to her. Was this why he kept his distance? What had she done wrong that made him turn to Seren? Centurion's lips then met with Seren's. Something shattered. A million thoughts flooded Crimson's mind until it was nothing but floodplain. With all this, she broke down and couldn't bear to look upon the rainbow ballroom. Quickly, she ran to the closest exit and stopped to catch a breath once she was directly under the night sky. Outside was black and white, with only a small section ignited blue and green from the multicoloured ballroom. All was fair until the Queen began to weep. It then began to rain. "Crimson," called a stern voice. Crimson looked up to see Aaron behind tears. His eyes remained focused upon the city below the hill as he leant back against the castle wall. "Aaron!" Crimson exclaimed through tears, burying her face in his chest. Although confused, he held on to her tight. "Crimson, please, I hate to see you in such misery. Tell me, what's the matter?" Crimson took deep breaths, trying to compose herself. She looked into Aaron's eyes. She knew she had to let this out, although she didn't want to. "Centurion's affair with Seren," she admitted sternly before sinking into tears once more. Aaron held his hand over her, blanketing her from the heavier rain. "I know what Seren's like. I didn't realize how much it got to you. I promise I'll speak to her about it." It wasn't Seren. It was Centurion to blame." "What?" Crimson tried to hold back her tears as Aaron comforted her. Aaron sighed. "I assure you, this is all a misunderstanding, but sometimes Centurion isn't as trustworthy as you may think." "He hasn't spoken to me in days. Have I done anything wrong?" "I know how you feel. Fleur hasn't said a word to me since that man Fernando entered. He's all she'll dance with and all she'll even speak to at this point." "Fernando's Leo's uncle, with a fake mustache and all that?" "Fake?" Aaron chuckled. "I've never interacted with Leo that much, but Lola seems pretty enthusiastic about him." Crimson relaxed as the rain stopped pouring. "Unfortunately, Leo and Fernando are staying the night here. Why can't they just go home like any other guests?" Aaron continued. "Leo's all right. Fernando I've hardly met. Anyway, it's getting a little cold. I might turn in for the night. I'm here if you need me." With that, Aaron let go of Crimson and retired into the castle. Crimson followed to her own chambers. Despite their absence, the ball continued, many dancers skipping loose and taking breaks between each interval. Fleur kept her state with Fernando, not wanting to leave her childhood friend. Centurion, on the other hand, kept with Seren, oblivious to any troubles keeping him from feeling such serenity. Lola and Naya stayed with Leo, Magenta dragging behind. "Leo, didn't you say you'd dance with me?" Lola asked. Sorry, Lola. I promise I'll take this next dance with you." "But we were having fun." Naya frowned. "Yeah, but now Leo wants to dance with me. Don't you, Leo?" Lola said, shuffling close to Leo. "Of course, but I'm a little tired. I've been dancing non-stop," Leo stated, falling back onto a chair. But I've barely had a chance to dance with anyone, Lola frowned. You could dance with me, Magenta asked. We were having so much fun, though, Naya protested, ignoring Magenta. I really enjoyed dancing with you, Naya. I'm sorry, Lola, but I'm just too tired right now. I'll save a dance for you. Do I even exist? Magenta asked before walking out. Why don't you guys dance together? Asked Leo. Maybe, Naya began. But I really wanted to dance with you, Leo, Lola exclaimed. Why would I dance with you when all you've done is steal Leo away from me? I'm not stealing him away from you. I'm just... You know what? Forget it, Lola snarled, planking down next to Leo. If you want to dance with someone, you guys could always, Leo began. I actually don't feel like dancing anymore. I might just turn in for the night, Naya stated. The bitter ball had come to a close. Leo aimlessly twisted around the corridors trying to find his allocated room, but found no luck. He stopped once he reached a chamber kissed with cherry in the west. There were many doors. He decided to stop at the door with the most light coming through and ask for assistance. Hello? He knocked. Centurion? A voice answered, opening the door. It was Crimson. Nope, Leo. Ah, Leo. I was just looking for my room I'm supposed to be staying in. I was supposed to ask my uncle, but I can't find him anywhere. Come in here for a bit. You look tired. Thanks. Crimson showed Leo into her room, and Leo happily sat upon her bed to take some rest. Crimson sat beside him. I'm so tired from all the dancing, he said. I'm sorry, Crimson smiled. It's not your fault. Lola and Naya would want to dance with me for every single dance, sometimes even during the intervals. The worst part is, they wouldn't want to share me. Wow. I feel bad for Magenta, though. They wouldn't want to dance with anyone else and ended up ignoring her completely. At least she wasn't all over you, Crimson laughed. Magenta hasn't met you that much. Lola and Naya haven't seen you in a long time, and sometimes get a bit caught up in the moment when an old friend, particularly the same age as you, comes to visit. Crimson paused. Maybe I should tell Aaron that. Yeah, I feel kind of bad for him after Fleur kind of stole my uncle away. Aaron will get her back. Hopefully, Crimson said, tone growing serious. Leo paused. I wish I could have danced more with Lola. She seemed pretty excited about it, but I got a bit carried away with Naya. There's just something about her. Leo blushed. She reminds me of someone. Plus, I think she has a crush on me or something. Leo laughed. You think Naya has a crush on you? Well, if you want to know the truth, Naya... Yeah? Naya doesn't have a crush on you, she said quickly. If you say so, Leo laughed. Anyway, where's Centurion? Don't know, don't care, she whispered. Leo lay back on Crimson's bed. You must really like Centurion, Crimson laughed. He's my biggest inspiration, Leo said calmly. I can tell. I see the resemblance of him within you. There was another silence. Leo? Crimson asked. Leo. She looked, and Leo had fallen asleep. It was getting late. She put her blanket over Leo and left him to rest. Good night, Leo, she smiled before untying her hair and lowering the lights. When the sun rose, Leo was nowhere to be found. Crimson awoke to an empty bedside, at first expecting Centurion, but then she remembered what fate brought her at last night's dance. She looked around for Leo, but he must have left as the door had been opened. She got herself ready and made her way out her chambers. There she was met with Marzi and Aaron. I don't suppose you've seen Prince Leo, Fernando's nephew? He asked. He wasn't in his allocated room. Ah, he said he couldn't find it, so he bunked with me for the night. Bunk with you? Aaron asked. I know Leo is fanatic about Centurion, but he's kind of pushing it if he literally slept with his wife, Marzi stated. You slept with a 16-year-old? Aaron asked with aggression. No, it's not like that. We were talking and he fell asleep, so I just left him to it. I was tired, so I just slept on the windowsill. Crimson, he's 16! He's old enough to be your son! I know, it was an accident! Aaron paused, unsure of what to say next. We will speak further, he sighed, once we get Leo's perspective on all this. With that, the three departed from each other. Aaron decided to pause the search for Leo out of his desire to help Crimson instead. He knew something was definitely going on. Based off his trust for Centurion, he knew someone was out there stirring chaos in the bigger picture. Just then, Naya entered. "I'm not talking to Lola. Again!" she exclaimed. "What's happened between you two?" he asked. "She keeps stealing Leo away from me and blaming me for everything." "Ah, it happens to best friends all the time," Aaron sighed. Naya sat down. Aaron sat next to her. "To take your mind off them, have you noticed anything suspicious with Seren recently?" "Well, she did ask to have a look around my potion brewing room a few weeks back. I thought of it as nothing though, although she did leave my book open on a love potion recipe. That's the last I saw of her." "Thank you for bringing this to my attention, Naya. A love potion, you said?" "Yes. Maybe she's the reason Lola and Leo are acting this way. I gotta go tell them." With that, Naya left as suddenly as she came. Aaron signalled her to wait, but she was gone. Either way, he knew what he needed to do. He looked around and called for Centurion, eventually finding him in his old room in the southern wing. Unfortunately, Seren was with him. "Seren!" he called as he entered the silver dorm. "Aaron, it's lovely to see you," Seren chirped. "Likewise," Aaron lied. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "I wish to speak with Centurion." Seren was all ears. "Alone!" Aaron exclaimed. "Oh, of course, dear stepbrother. I'll just be waiting outside, but before I go, I just wanted to invite you to a tea party I'm having later today. Being the kind queen I am, I'm inviting everyone in the castle," Seren chimed as she skipped out. Aaron shut the door, Seren leaning an ear against it, trying not to laugh. "Centurion, what's going on?" "Nothing's going on. Seren's hosting a tea party, that's what's going on." "I mean about the ball last night. Whatever happened with you and Crimson?" "Crimson? That name rings a bell. Must have been a long time ago." "Centurion, you love Crimson." "No, I don't. I love Seren." "Really? If Seren's queen, does that make you king? Where's her crown? Where's your top floor bedroom?" "I don't know. Nothing's really..." he muffled under his hand. "Everything's a blur, isn't it?" Aaron crossed his arms. "No, I'm kind of drunk at the moment, so..." "Seren's tea, I presume?" "Pretty good, innit?" "Centurion, you don't even like tea!" Aaron pulled out a small painting from behind him. "Look at this! Who do you think that is?" The painting was indeed of him and some other royal-like queen. "It's a painting. It could be anyone." "Centurion, that is Crimson. Do you remember her?" "I think I've seen her once or twice before, but..." "Next thing you'll be telling him is that he has wings," Seren joked, walking in. The painting did indeed show Crimson and Centurion with angel wings, although Centurion was unsure of what to believe. "It's a painting, Centurion. You love Crimson." Centurion scratched his head, questioning his sanity. "Seren put a love potion or a memory potion in your tea. That is why you don't remember anything." "A potion? Aaron, you must have hit your head harder than I thought. I'll get you some tea for that." "I'm about to lose my dignity." With that, Aaron pounced upon Centurion and tackled him to the ground. "Listen to me. You have been brainwashed."
"No, he's been brainwashed,"
Seren shouted. "Think of Crimson. Think of the painting." "That was made by one of your fangirls." "Centurion, listen to me." Aaron slapped Centurion across the face to get his attention. "Wake up! Wake up!" "Centurion, are you okay? Let me get you some tea." Seren panicked. "I don't even like tea." Centurion finally stood up. "Seren, scram!" Aaron demanded. Seren did so. "Centurion, are you all right? I'm sorry." "Yeah, I needed it. I remember Seren gave me some sort of potion, but everything else is a blur. She gave you a love potion so you'd love her instead of Crimson. Oh no, Crimson's gonna kill me. No, she isn't. It wasn't your fault. Still, I promise, if you come with me to see Fleur, I will come with you to see Crimson. Deal? Deal. So, together, until the afternoon began, they searched for Fleur or Fernando. They found them both in a small, pink storage room in the back of the castle.
What do you think of this room, Fernando?
It's very pink, like you, Fernando smiled. It made Fleur giggle. She leant in close to Fernando, almost like she could kiss him, until she was stopped. What's going on in here? Aaron demanded as the door viciously swung open.
Aaron!
Fleur shrieked. And you! You are the most uncharming prince I have ever met! Aaron directed to Fernando.
Aaron, please!
Fleur interrupted. Aaron, I am sorry. I feel like such a burden to you. Fleur was just happy to see me, and I didn't want to break her heart. It may have seemed like we were ignoring you, and for that I am truly sorry, Fernando stated. Well, that was unexpected. Have I been blaming the wrong person this whole time? Aaron turned to Fleur.
Oh, Aaron!
Fleur exclaimed. Fleur, look at yourself. Aaron is the one you were meant to love. Fernando smiled.
But, Fernando, what about the time we were in those boats together and you sung to me?
Fleur asked. Those were traditional Italian folk songs translating to, You are my friend, be with me until the end.
But what about all those kisses you gave me?
Those were traditional French greetings, nothing more. Aaron is the one you were meant to love. I'm sorry if I ever got in the way of your relationship.
Oh, Fernando, Aaron, I'm so sorry,
Fleur exclaimed. It's all right. Please don't cry, Fernando said, comforting Fleur.
I was just so carried away, and then I got all distracted from Aaron and...
It's all right. You are a childhood friend of mine, and you'll always be my dearest friend. After Fernando let go of Fleur, she kissed Aaron in apology. Centurion smiled at how easy that was, and only hoped his would go the same. Meanwhile, in the courtyard, Magenta sat by a lonely wall surrounded in thistles. Mind if I join you? Leo asked as he approached. Sure, she insisted. Although there was a silence, Leo was tempted to spark conversation, but hesitated out of fear of causing damage. Just then, Naya entered the scene. Hey, she sighed. Hey, Naya, it's been a while, Magenta smiled, hiding her shame. I know, I'm sorry. I'm done with Lola. I'm gonna stay with you, Magenta, Naya stated. But you guys are best friends. You can't just cut her off like that, Leo interrupted. Did you ever apologize to her? Asked Magenta. Well, no. I kinda lost my temper on her and lashed out. Well, someone once told me maybe now would be a good time to start, Magenta smiled. All right. But someone else will have to bring her here. Naya laughed nervously. I was just talking with her. I'll bring her here, Leo exclaimed as he dashed off to find Lola. As he did, Naya shuffled close to Magenta upon the wall. I don't know what happened between us. We just sort of both got really clingy on Leo and it got in the way of our friendship, Naya stated. The thing is, I think Leo has a crush on me or something, but I don't love him back. I see him nothing more than a friend. I couldn't pretend to love him either because it's not who I am. Plus, I know how much Lola loves him too. I just wouldn't want to be a burden to that, even though deep down inside it's Lola I love. Naya froze. Never mind. I wouldn't understand all this lovey-dovey stuff. I just want my friends back, Magenta smiled. Yeah, I'm very sorry we abandoned you. Just then, Leo and Lola entered. Lola hesitated for a while. Lola, can we start over? I'm sorry, Naya finally spoke. Lola thought for a moment.
I'm sorry too,
Lola exclaimed, hugging Naya. And I'm sorry too. It honestly hurts feeling like the one who tore you apart, Leo confessed.
No, it's not your fault. We shouldn't have been so possessive. We were just too excited, and we're sorry for leaving you out, Magenta. We owe you both an apology.
Lola sighed.
It's all right. Everything turned out all right, right?
Magenta chimed.
Let's start over. The four of us, as friends,
Lola chimed. Everyone cheered in agreement.
Now let's go and get some lunch together before Leo goes home tomorrow,
Naya exclaimed.
What do you feel like?
Magenta asked.
Cranberries. Just cranberries.
As night fell slowly, it was time. Centurion's bedroom door looked at him in shame, but the stairs toward it had thought otherwise. It was time to come clear. It had felt so long since he had held that broken doorknob. It felt nostalgic as he struggled to open it. His heartbeat sped up and echoed loudly in his mind. Was this the right choice? A million thoughts showered in with a storm as he let go of the doorknob. He then entered with an undecided fortune of fixation or failure. There she lay upon the bed they had once shared, dressed in a gown of onyx and long hair of obsidian hanging down over her face onto the purple sheets, as opposed to being tied in its usual bun. His urge to stroke his fingers through it grew tense. The familiarity made him cringe. Without haste, he approached her, daring not to sit upon the bed. She lifted her gaze from her scroll, and her lapis eyes locked with his. It made him jitter back. He tried to smile, but it ended as an awkward teeth grit. Was she trying to make haste or not? He could not tell.
Centurion, it's been a while.
She smiled, putting her hair behind her ear only for it to fall back onto her face. That made Centurion laugh. He wasn't expecting her to be so jovial. Crimson, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Seren put a love potion on me. If only I'd realized how uncomfortable she was making you feel all these years, we wouldn't have had to go through all this, he said, tone growing serious.
No, I'm sorry I didn't realize it sooner and that I blamed you.
I should have tried to seek answers rather than assume you weren't being faithful. I was prejudiced to have thought so, and I'm sorry I misjudged you. I'm sorry I was stupid enough to fall for Seren's tricks. Can you ever forgive me? With that, he leant in for a hug, but she let go and shook her head and smiled. She then leant in and kissed him. He kissed her back, and after that, he fell onto his bed as his mission accomplished. There was something he still wondered, though. Why were you so happy when I entered, though? He asked. Before you came in, I talked it over with Aaron, and I felt a lot better, she said. Centurion looked back to the door, and Aaron looked in. Seeing him smile, Centurion smiled too. Mission accomplished. May 15th, 1080. Crimson awoke in a room gleaming white. The joyous void sparkled like sunlit clouds. Where am I? She asked, before the white clouds greyed and black rain began to come forth. Soon, a dark figure chiseled in blood entered the scene. The lost swing. You. Suddenly, Crimson was paralyzed. The lost swing pulled out a knife from behind her and began to lick it happily. Crimson tried to run, but she was stuck upon the ground. Suddenly, before all else failed, a figure paved in armor brandished his sword, taking the lost swing out to the shadows she once had come. The clouds thinned, and Crimson could move once again. Centurion? Asked a confused queen. No, called a familiar but different voice. The mysterious knight took off his helmet to reveal the face of a long-lost childhood friend lost to battle. Peter, she exclaimed, running up to him. It's been decades since I've seen you. I'm so proud of you, he said, putting arms around her. I'm here to make a promise. I will always be there to guard you in your dreams. This is a dream? She held out her hand. Thank you, Peter. Your king will protect you in the working world. He let go of her slowly. I cannot stay long. Now awaken next to your king. With that, There was a slow flash of white light, and Crimson awoke in her sunlit room, forever safe in the wings of her castle. All right, Leo, Lola, Naya, and Magenta are back together. Good. Aaron, Fleur, and Fernando sorted. Perfect. Centurion and Crimson's reunity. Check. Now, to deal with Seren, Marzi stated as she stood with Aaron facing Seren in the Grand Hall. What you've done is an offence of treason and is punishable by death, Aaron stated. Please, I'm sorry. Is there anything I can do to make it up to you? I didn't know. I was just playing, Seren exclaimed, almost on her knees. Anything? In my original pitch, I would tell her to go to jail, but now I'm having second thoughts. She's family too, after all, and everyone can redeem themselves, Marzi stated. Aaron thought for a bit. Please, brother, I don't want to go to jail. All right. To earn your forgiveness, you shall polish every helmet in the guard's common room, Aaron stated. Seren cringed at that statement. Would you rather go to jail? Marzi asked. Seren, too, cringed at that statement. Wait, Naya said as she entered. Can I suggest something? Of course. It was you she took advantage of, after all, Aaron stated. I have the perfect job for her. Since the king's return, the kingdom of New Equivalus had never felt so complete. With a monarchy of 4 and a sub-monarchy of 5, all with different roles and responsibilities within the kingdom. His Highness, King Centurion, took charge of combat and warfare within the kingdom, being Sergeant Major of the Royal Guard and leading the Crusades. Her Majesty, Queen Crimson, took charge of magic and sorcery within the kingdom. Any threats regarding magic or sorcery, she'd be there to guide it back or forth. His Excellency, Prince Aaron, took charge of law and order. All thieves and those to be put on trial were brought to him. Being Chief Magistrate, he would organise punishments and laws. Being an ex-soldier, he'd sometimes lead the guards when needed, but that was rare. Her Grace, Princess Fleur, was in charge of animal welfare. She would take care of all woodland creatures and aid them when needed. Princess Lola, daughter of Aaron and Fleur, was training towards human welfare, and being a magistrate in social problems amongst others and personal problems amongst themselves. Princess Naya, daughter of Queen Crimson and King Centurion, studied alchemy, brewing and chemistry. Although she was studying magic like her mother, she geared more toward the scientific end of the spectrum with her creation of medicine. Naya's sister, Princess Magenta, was training to be Sergeant Major one day just like her father. Call her Sergeant Minor. Aaron's stepsister, Lady Seren, despite working to redeem herself by dusting Crimson's so-called dusty castle as punishment, she still had her eye on Centurion. Thus, Crimson kept a close eye on Seren when she came from her mansion. Hostess Marzi, an author and artist within the castle, many would come to her when they couldn't interact with other members of the royal family directly. She'd also welcome all guests into the castle. Princes Leo and Fernando would often visit this castle, although Aaron kept a close eye on them both. I wouldn't say they all lived happily ever after. Things come and go, but things can only get better after they get worse. All in all, 11th century Equivalus wouldn't have been quite as exciting without its royal dynasty. And that is how 11th century Equivalus came to be. The end.